Today is the 10th of August, and we come to Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 53, Sekha Sutta, the disciple in higher training. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in the Sakyan country at Kapilavatu in Igroda Spa. On that occasion, a new assembly hall had recently been built for the Sakyans of Kapilavatu, and it had not yet been inhabited by any recluse or Brahmin or human being at all. Then the Sakyans of Kapilavatu went to the Blessed One. After paying homage to him, they sat down at one side and said, "Venerable Sir, a new assembly hall has recently been built here for the Sakyans of Kapilavatu, and it has not yet been inhabited by any recluse or Brahmin or human being at all. Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One be the first to use it. When the Blessed One has used it first, then the Sakyans of Kapilavatu will use it afterwards. That will lead to our welfare and happiness for a long time." Stop here for a moment. So here you see, they have this tradition. They have a new building. They invite some monk to use it first. And nowadays, there are some people who have come across this sutta, and when their new house is ready, they also sometimes invite a monk to go and stay before they go in to stay. The Blessed One consented in silence. Then when they saw that he had consented, they got up from their seats, and after paying homage to him, keeping him on their right, they went to the assembly hall. They covered it completely with coverings and prepared seats, and they put out a large water jug and hung up an oil lamp. Then they went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, they sat down at one side and said, "Venerable Sir, the assembly hall has been covered completely with coverings, and seats have been prepared. A large water jug has been put out, and an oil lamp hung up. Now is the time for the Blessed One to do as he thinks fit." Then the Blessed One dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went with the Sangha of monks to the assembly hall. When he arrived, he washed his feet and then entered the hall and sat down by the central pillar facing the east. And the monks washed their feet and then entered the hall and sat down by the western wall facing the east with the Blessed One before them. And the Sakyans of Kapilavatu washed their feet and entered the hall and sat down by the eastern wall facing the west with the Blessed One before them. Then when the Blessed One had instructed, urged, roused and encouraged the Sakyans of Kapilavatu with talk on the Dhamma for much of the night, he said to the Venerable Ananda, "Ananda, speak to the Sakyans of Kapilavatu about the disciple in higher training who has entered upon the way. My back is uncomfortable. I will rest it." "Yes, Venerable Sir," the Venerable Ananda replied. Then the Blessed One prepared his patchwork cloak folded in four and lay down on his right side in the lion's pose with one foot overlapping the other, mindful and fully aware, after noting in his mind the time for rising. Stop here for a while. So you see, when they invited the Buddha and the monks to come, they covered the hall completely with coverings and prepared seats, put out water for drinking and washing the feet also, and hung up an oil lamp. Then you notice after the Buddha came in, he sat facing the east. This is a tradition in yoga. When we meditate also, we face the east. Probably because the earth is turning in that direction. So when we face the east, it's like you are sitting in a car or in a bus facing the front. Okay. The disciple in higher training is the Arya. So the Buddha was tired after talking a lot. He wanted to lie down to rest his back. Asked Venerable Ananda to speak. Then the Venerable Ananda addressed Mahanama, the Sakyan, thus. Let's stop here for a moment. This Mahanama is a relation of the Buddha. Seems like he's the cousin of the Buddha. Mahanama, Here a noble disciple is possessed of virtue, guards the doors of his sense faculties, is moderate in eating, and devoted to wakefulness. He possesses 7 good qualities, and he is one who obtains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind, and provide a pleasant abiding here and now. And how is a noble disciple possessed of virtue? Here a noble disciple is virtuous. He dwells restrained with the restraint of the Patimokkha. He is perfect in conduct and resort, seeing fear in the slightest fault. He trains by undertaking the training precepts. That is how a noble disciple is possessed of virtue. I stop here for a moment. So here, remember Ananda is giving a list of the charana. Charana is conduct or practice of the holy path. The Buddha is said to be Vijja Charana Sampanno, perfect or complete or replete with conduct and knowledge. So this conduct here is the list given is virtue, guards the doors of the sense faculties, moderate in eating, devoted to wakefulness, possesses 7 good qualities, and can obtain the 4 jhanas. So here the first one talking about virtue, among virtue or moral conduct. A monk is restrained by the restraint of the Patimokkha. The Patimokkha for the Theravada monk is 227 precepts that he has to keep. And that is perfect in conduct and resort. That means his conduct. Resort is where he goes to for alms or for wherever he. And there are certain resorts a monk is not supposed to go. For example, go to where prostitutes stay. Go at the wrong time to where nuns stay, go to where a single woman stays. All that is not proper for a monk, unless he's accompanied by somebody. Seeing fear in the slightest fault, so he's very careful, even in this small precepts. And how does a noble disciple guard the doors of his sense faculties? On seeing a form with the eye, a noble disciple does not grasp at its signs and features, since if he left the eye faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade him. He practices the way of its restraint. He guards the eye faculty. He undertakes the restraint of the eye faculty. Similarly, on hearing a sound with the ear, smelling an odor with the nose, tasting a flavor with the tongue, touching a tangible with the body, cognizing a mind object with the mind. A noble disciple does not grasp at its signs and features, since if he left the faculties unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade him. He practices the way of their restraint. He guards the faculties. He takes the restraint of the faculties. That is how a noble disciple guards the doors of his sense faculties. This one we've seen before, that a monk in training should always be careful at the 6 sense doors, because that is where Mara can catch us. So we don't pay too much attention to the signs and features of the sense objects. And how is a noble disciple moderate in eating? Here, reflecting wisely, a noble disciple takes food neither for amusement nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort, and for assisting the holy life, considering, thus I shall terminate old feelings without arousing new feelings, and I shall be healthy and blameless, and shall live in comfort. That is how a noble disciple is moderate in eating. And how is a noble disciple devoted to wakefulness? Here, during the day, while walking back and forth and sitting, a noble disciple purifies his mind of obstructive states. In the first watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, he purifies his mind of obstructive states. In the middle watch of the night, that means from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., he lies down on the right side in the lion's pose, with one foot overlapping the other, mindful and fully aware. After noting in his mind the time for rising, After rising in the third watch of the night, that means from 2 to 6 a.m., while walking back and forth and sitting, he purifies his mind of obstructive states. That is how a noble disciple is devoted to wakefulness. In other words, the monk in training, he sleeps the minimum that is required. After he wakes up, he tries not to sleep again. And how does a noble disciple possess 7 good qualities? Here, a noble disciple has faith, saddha. He places his faith in the Tathagata's enlightenment thus. The Blessed One is Arahant, Sammasambuddha, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. He has a sense of shame. He is ashamed of misconduct in body, speech and mind, ashamed of engaging in evil and unwholesome states. He has fear of wrongdoing. He is afraid of misconduct in body, speech and mind, afraid of engaging in evil and unwholesome deeds. This number 2 and number 3 is Hiri Ottappa. He has learned much, remembers what he has learned, and consolidates what he has learned. Such teachings as are good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing, and affirm a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Such teachings as these he has learned much of, remembered, recited verbally, investigated with the mind, and penetrated well by view. 5th one, he is energetic in abandoning unwholesome states and in undertaking wholesome states. He is steadfast, firm in striving, not remiss in developing wholesome states. Number 6, he has recollection. He possesses the highest recollection and skill. He recalls and recollects what was done long ago and spoken long ago. Let's stop for a moment. Now, here this word, the translation is mindfulness. The Pali word is sati. And sati, you see here the definition of sati. He recalls and recollects what was done long ago and spoken long ago. That means this is memory. He has a very good memory. So the proper word is recollection. And in the practice of a monk, recollection here means remembering to put your attention to recollect the 4 objects of sati, to always contemplate body, feelings, mind and Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, not to allow the mind to stray out to the 6 sense objects. That's why it's called recollection, because you have to remember to put your attention on only the 4 objects of sati and not on worldly things. Number 7, he is wise. He possesses wisdom regarding rise and disappearance. Actually, it's rise and cessation. That is noble and penetrative and leads to the complete destruction of suffering. That is how a noble disciple possesses 7 good qualities. I'll just repeat. The first one is faith, faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Second is hiri, a sense of shame. Third is ottappa, fear of wrongdoing. Number 4, I think, is Bahu Sutta, learn much. That means he knows much Dhamma, the Buddha's Dhamma, Buddha's teachings. He is well learned. The 5th one is energetic, virya, energetic in cultivating wholesome states, abandoning unwholesome states. That means improving his character, the flaws in his character he gets rid of and cultivates wholesome states. And then number 6, recollection, always putting the attention on the 4 objects of sati, body, feeling, mind and Dhamma. And number 7, wisdom. Wisdom here means being able to see impermanence, to see the rise and cessation of everything in the world. And how is a noble disciple? One who obtains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind and provide a pleasant abiding here and now. Here, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, a noble disciple enters upon and abides in the 1st jhana. Then with the stilling of applied and sustained thought, he enters upon and abides in the 2nd jhana. With the fading away as well of delight, he enters upon and abides in the third jhana. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, he enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure and utter purity of recollection or mindfulness and equanimity. That is how a noble disciple is one who obtains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the four jhanas that constitute the higher mind and provide a pleasant abiding here and now. These are states of samadhi, concentration. When a noble disciple has thus become one who is possessed of virtue, who guards the doors of his sense faculties, who is moderate in eating, who is devoted to wakefulness, who possesses 7 good qualities, who obtains at will without trouble or difficulty the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind and provide a pleasant abiding here and now. He is called one in higher training, who has entered upon the way. His eggs are unspoiled. He is capable of breaking out, capable of enlightenment, capable of attaining the supreme security from bondage. Suppose there were a hen with 8 or 10 or 12 eggs, which she had covered, incubated and nurtured properly. Even though she did not wish, oh, that my chicks might pierce their shells with the points of their claws and beaks and hatch out safely. Yet the chicks are capable of piercing their shells with the points of their claws and beaks and hatching out safely. So too, when a noble disciple has thus become one who is possessed of virtue, etc., he is called one in higher training who has entered upon the way. His eggs are unspoiled. He is capable of breaking out, capable of enlightenment, capable of attaining the supreme security from bondage. Stop here for a moment. So here, if a monk cultivates all these practices stated here, and the Buddha says he is capable of enlightenment. Having arrived at that supreme purity of sati and upekkha, recollection and equanimity, this noble disciple recollects his manifold past lives. Thus, with the aspects and particulars, he recollects his manifold past lives. This is the first breaking out, like that of the hen's chicks from their shells. Having arrived at that same supreme purity of recollection and equanimity, with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, this noble disciple sees beings passing away and reappearing. He understands how beings pass on according to their actions. This is his second breaking out, like that of the hen's chicks from their shells. Having arrived at that same supreme purity of recollection and equanimity, by realizing for himself with direct knowledge, this noble disciple here and now enters upon and abides in the deliverance by mind and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. This is his third breaking out, like that of the hen's chicks from their shells. When a noble disciple is possessed of virtue, that is his conduct. When he guards the doors of his sense faculties, that is his conduct. When he is moderate in eating, that is his conduct. When he is devoted to wakefulness, that is his conduct. When he possesses 7 good qualities, that is his conduct. When he is one who obtains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind and provide a pleasant abiding here and now, that is his conduct. I stop here for a moment. So here this list is supposed to be charana, conduct or practice of a monk. According to the commentary, the first 4 virtue, guarding the doors of the sense faculties, moderation in eating, devotion to wakefulness, plus 7 good qualities makes 11, plus the 4 jhanas makes 15. So according to the commentary, this is the traditional interpretation of charana, 15 factors. But actually, if you take the 7 good qualities as one factor, and the 4 jhanas as 1 factor, it's only 6 factors here. But from various suttas, like in the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 27, and this sutta and other suttas, we have compiled a list of 10 factors. The first one is sila, which is the same. The second one is contentment, which is not mentioned here. Third is guarding the sense doors, which is here. Fourth is sati sampajanya, you could say recollection and mindfulness, which is not mentioned here. And then 5th is moderation in eating. 6th is devotion to wakefulness. 7 is 7 good qualities. 8 is seclusion, not mentioned here, but mentioned in other suttas. 9 is abandonment of the 5 hindrances, also not mentioned here, but mentioned in other suttas. 10 is the 4 jhanas. So these are 10 factors. But you take the 7 good qualities to be 7 factors and the 4 jhanas to be 4 factors. Then we have a total of 19. That means we have 4 more factors than the traditional interpretation, the commentaries. And then the vijja. Here, according to the commentary, vijja consists of the 3 knowledges of the Buddha. The first one is recollecting the past lives. The second one is the having the divine eye, the heavenly eye, being able to see beings passing away and being reborn, passing away and being reborn. The divine eye is the second knowledge, according to here. The third one is destruction of the asavas, the taints. So here, according to traditional Buddhism or the commentaries, vijja consists of 3 knowledges. But if we combine with other suttas, we find actually vijja consists of 8 knowledges. The 6 abhinya, is what? One more is having the heavenly ear. The other one is being able to read others' minds. The third one is various kinds of psychic power, walking through the wall, diving into the water, into the earth like water and coming out again. One body multiplying into many bodies, being able to sit cross-legged and fly like a bird, being able to touch the sun and the moon, etc. I think it's called psychokinesis. So those are another 3. Then another 2 more is vipassana jnana. Vipassana jnana is contemplation knowledge, contemplation of the body. And then mano maya idi, mind created body. Like the Buddha, he has this ability to take out from the top of his head a body. A body can come out from the top of his head. You can call it the astral body. And the suttas, they call it a golden colored body. Sometimes he wants to talk to his disciples, because they might be meditating in the middle of the night and they are nodding, getting sleepy, overcome by sloth and torpor, and then he goes to them with his mind-created body. So to continue, when he recollects his manifold past lives with the aspects and particulars, that is his true knowledge. When with the divine eye, he sees beings passing away and reappearing and understands how beings pass on according to their actions. That is his true knowledge. When by realizing for himself with direct knowledge, he here and now enters upon and abides in the deliverance by mind and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. That is his true knowledge. This noble disciple is thus said to be perfect in true knowledge, perfect in conduct, perfect in true knowledge and conduct. I'll stop here for a moment. So here you can see perfect in true knowledge refers to the 3 knowledges I just mentioned: recollecting past lives, the heavenly eye, and destruction of the taints or asavas. And this stanza was uttered by the Brahma Sanan Kumara. The noble clan is held to be the best of people as to lineage. But best of gods and humans is one perfect in true knowledge and conduct. One perfect in true knowledge and conduct is the Arahant, one, the liberated one. Now that stanza was well sung by the Brahma Sanan Kumara, not ill sung. It was well spoken, not ill spoken. It has a meaning and is not meaningless. And it was approved by the Blessed One. Then the Blessed One rose and addressed the Venerable Ananda thus: Good Ananda, it is good that you have spoken to the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu about the disciple in higher training who has entered upon the way. That is what the Venerable Ananda said. The teacher approved. The Sakyans of Kapilavatthu were satisfied and delighted in the Venerable Ananda's words. That's the end of the sutta. So here you see the Buddha is explaining the conduct and the knowledges of an Arahant. But this sutta, as I mentioned just now, is not these 2 things, conduct and knowledges in this sutta are not complete.